Hi, Mary. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
How you both doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I know that
Good.
we have some people coming into Educator Sanctuary in person. So I imagine Bill is probably getting them settled and getting technology set up. But I also know, I think we might have some more people joining virtually. So we have a few minutes, but just wanted to say hello. Madison and Lauren, thanks for joining. We'll get started in a few minutes. We're waiting for some people to come on from the Educator Sanctuary, but thanks for joining us.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Bill, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Guess we'll give it a minute or two. We have some in-person people here too, so I will do my best to navigate the two worlds together as we walk through this.
Absolutely. For the people that are online, I think you can see, but we are recording the session so that we can share it out to people that couldn't make in person or virtual. So,
All right, I think just to respect everybody's time, we'll get started. Bill McKay, for those of you that don't know me, and I have Wayne Foley is here with me. Wayne is one of the other instructors that will be at Oxford with us. Um, we're going to give like a 30,000 foot view of Oxford, talk a little bit about the course in regards to like the assignments. That's something people always want to know. and then a little bit about the schedule, and then any questions you might have relative to it. If you do decide to register and go, we will hold additional meetings after registration and before Oxford, typically in June. We usually try to offer one in June and one in July that are like the really down in the weeds, nuts and bolts, travel specifics and all that information. So this by no way is the last time that you'll hear about Oxford. If you decide to go, we'll meet and really walk through everything from airport to Oxford to everything we navigate there in town, and try to help the best that we can. So the course itself runs from a Monday to a Friday. We ask people to arrive on Monday, which this year is August 4th, and check-in time is 2 p.m. So you can fly in anytime. Some people will decide to do a trip on the front end, spend a few days in London, go to Ireland, whatever. Once you're over there, it's a hop, skip, and a jump to a lot of other places. And some people choose to do it on the back end. But either way, check-in is at 2 on that Monday. If you arrive before 2 in Oxford, because it's about 80 minutes from London to Oxford, you can take a bus, you can take a train, you can Uber it, you can taxi. There's a variety of ways to get from London to Oxford. But once you arrive at Oxford, if you get there before 2, we're staying at St. Stephen's House this year. St. Stephen's House is an old monastery. It's a minimalistic room. Think dorm is kind of what it's like, but it's pretty cool because it's an old monastery. There's an old church, there's a courtyard, there's catacombs that that are pretty neat. So it's a neat space, but from your room space, it's kind of bare essentials kind of thing, but clean. So that's good. But if you check in early, if you get there before 2, you can go to St. Stephen's House, drop off your bags. They will keep your bags for you. And then you can go explore a little bit in Oxford. If you have a few hours or whatever, you can walk around. The St. Stephen's House itself is kind of on the edge of Oxford, but there's a lot of cafes and things on the streets right by St. Stephen's House. Wayne told me there's a few pubs there. I haven't seen those yet, but I'm going to check them out this time. But to walk into the main part of Oxford is literally only a 5 to 10 minute walk. So you can spend time in there if you want to, if you get there early, and then come back and check in at 2. That first day, we just do a check-in, then we do a welcome. We get everybody together. We talk about, the expectations of the week, what it's going to look like, all the details, and then dinner's on your own. Again, there's a lot of restaurants within walking distance. Frankly, everything's within walking distance, but some really close, some 10, 15-minute walk away. And then in the evenings, we do this every night that we're there, Monday through Friday. We just call it Oxford Fellowship. But we'll just say, hey, we're all going to meet at wherever it might be, the Angel and Greyhound or the Bear or wherever. And it's totally optional. If you want to go, we just want to make sure there's a place that if everybody wants to hang out and talk a little bit more about the day or about what the next day is bringing, that there's that opportunity to do that. And that's usually in the evening for an hour or an hour and a half. Sometimes we end up in the courtyard at St. Stephen's. It's a nice courtyard. We'll run down to the mini mart around the corner and grab some wine and cheese and crackers or whatever and hang out in the courtyard. So it kind of changes night to night, whatever the group's kind of feeling. But again, can also totally be on your own. The rest of the week kind of follows a cadence where every day we have 2 learning sessions. We have one in the morning after breakfast. We eat our breakfast in the little cafeteria area at St. Stephen's House. And then we do a morning learning experience. The first Tuesday, which is our first learning experience there, we'll do a walking tour of Oxford. So you get a lay of the land. You can see where kind of the main sites in Oxford are. You get some of the history of Oxford. Just a good way to get oriented. So when you have free time the rest of the week, in your head, you might be thinking, oh, I saw that in a tour. I'd like to go back and check that out. You kind of have an idea of where it is. Oxford's very easy to get around and find things. So it's kind of nice when you have time to be able to go check some of those things out. And then we have lunch around 12:30, again, in the cafeteria at St. Stephen's. Cafeteria it's just a small dining hall with tables in it. It's not a big cafeteria by any sense of the imagination. And then we have an afternoon learning experience. Those learning experiences will differ through the week. Sometimes we have a person coming in who's an Oxford alumni. that's going to talk about what it was like to attend Oxford in regards to what their education system is like. Very different from our colleges here in the States. It's a lot more that frankly student agency. It's a lot more owner driven kind of learning that they have. It's a lot more small group, an advisor with 2 or 3 students. So they'll share some of that. They'll talk about their experiences since they left Oxford, what they've done or not done with their degree, and share that. We have a presenter that is currently a principal or a headmaster in a school in the UK, and they'll talk about that pre-K to 12 education. Again, kind of how it's similar to us and how it's different from us here in the States, which is kind of neat to hear from him. And then we're still working on nailing down our Oxford professor, but we typically have an Oxford professor too that shares their area of expertise, but then they'll also talk a little bit about the Oxford experience also. And then we do some other beyond the 4-wall stuff on some of those learning experiences too, to get you out and about and see and kind of be, embraced by Oxford and the culture around Oxford. On Wednesday night, we do a dinner at Exeter College. All the other nights, dinner's on your own. Usually groups, they'll say, hey, we're going here, we're going there, whatever sounds good. People usually end up together in different places for dinner. But on Wednesday night, we go to Exeter College together. Way cool. Think Harry Potter, and you kind of have a vision of what dinner looks like on Wednesday night. Exeter College, you kind of go down this road, and there's a big wall, and you open the door, and you go in. It's this huge courtyard with a church and a dining hall, and we do wine out in the courtyard before dinner, which is right by the Radcliffe Camera. If you're familiar with that, it's the big dome building that you see pictures of Oxford all the time. The courtyard overlooks the Radcliffe Camera, and then we go in and have dinner in this huge, amazing, cathedral ceiling dining hall, which is really cool. And the food is top notch there too. So that's a great experience on Wednesday night. And then the other days, again, follow that same cadence. We have morning lessons, we have afternoon lessons, we have that Oxford. We have in there during the week from 4:30 to 5:30, we put in an Oxford hour. And the Oxford hour is just us doing mini learning experiences. Sometimes they're connected to something we heard from one of our speakers. Sometimes they're connected to one of the tours we did. And sometimes they're just really more TXBL innovation kind of stuff that we do with the group for an hour. And then on Friday night, the last night, we do after dinner, we ask the group to get back together. It's optional, but I think every year everybody's gone. Right around the corner from St. Stephen's House is it's more like a cocktail lounge than a pub. It's called the Mad Hatter. And obviously it has an Alice in Wonderland theme. And they have a DJ, and we have tables reserved, and we just kind of hang out there however long you want, half hour, 2 hours. Some people come for a little bit, and then they go back into Oxford and check some stuff out in town, or go back to the courtyard at the St. Stephen's House, whatever works for everybody. We try and make those free times available, but yet you have an option where the group is kind of be, if you're not sure what you want to do during that time. During the week, the one thing we do say is, even though those evenings are available, we want everybody staying in Oxford. Okay, so sometimes people are like, oh, I could run into London and I could do A, B, or C in London, but we're not going to do that. We're going to stay in Oxford in those evening sessions, even though they're optional. There's plenty to do in Oxford. You won't run out of things to do in Oxford, so that's not an issue. And again, on the front and back end, you can check out London, explore, and and see what's going on in London. I think the first year I went, we did 2 days in London. You can see a lot in London in 2 days if you're moving. A lot of it you can walk to, so everything's kind of centrally located. The main things in London anyway are that way. In regards to course assignments, it's pretty straightforward. Each day you have to write a reflection. You don't have to write it that day. Okay, you can come home and you can write them all when you get back home. It's totally up to you and what your preference is. Some people, they knock them out that night. They get on their laptop, they type them all out, they upload them onto Canvas, and they're done for Monday, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday. So each day we want a reflection of your day. You'll get a journal from us, and we'll ask you to take notes in it from those learning sessions. And then really it's just a matter of going back through your notes and sharing what your takeaways were for the day and your reflection for the day. It's that simple. And you'll have one for each of the days, Monday through Friday. Then there's a final project. The final project is just taking everything from the week and what were your main takeaways and how do you think you could implement them or how they might influence how you're going to deliver instruction for your upcoming school year, for the 25-26 school year. So you've got 5 daily journals that you're going to submit. And then you have a final one, which is just a little bit more of, these were the main takeaways that really impacted me. Here's why. And here's how I plan on using them in my classroom this upcoming school year. And you submit that one. That's it. Those are the 6 assignments. Again, you can do them while we're there. I don't want to say it's a 50-50 split, but it's definitely a mix. Some people just have to get them done and they crank them out at night. Other people like me get back and then they're like, yeah, I'll do them all when I get back and do it that way. So it's totally up to you on how that works for you in regards to submitting the assignments. There is just something to be aware of. And again, once you're registered, if you decide to go, we'll share more information about this. But there is a new procedure for traveling into the UK. We have to complete an ETA. It's a form. It's an online form. It doesn't take a whole lot to complete it. I think is it $35 or?
It's actually going to be closer to $15. It's
Okay, like 15.
10 pounds.
Good news, it's on sale, $15, not $35. And it's simple. Typically, it should only take 3 or 4 days to get it back. But being educators and being planners, we know we're going to do it a lot earlier than that to make sure we all have it and can get into the UK if we decide that's what we're doing. We'll give you all that information. It's called an ETA. All the different countries have it. So you're also going to want to be aware if you're going there and you're going to go to Ireland or Scotland or France before or after, you're going to need ETAs for each of those countries too. Everybody has started doing it. But it seems like a pretty simple process and we'll share all the details to it as we get further along in this journey. Miss anything, Wayne? I think that's kind of
I think that's good.
general information relative to Oxford. Any questions? Way too quiet. Oops, way too quiet.
Hey, sorry, Bill. I have a question.
Yeah.
When you might have already said this, when is like the sign up and everything coming out?
Okay, and Karen can she's our expert on this. I believe March 31st is when it opens. But go ahead, Karen. You can.
Sure, thanks. So the process, while it's similar to prior years, has a little bit of a new twist to it. We will be requiring a $150 program fee. That essentially is your seat deposit to save your spot to get registered for the course. We have obviously a capacity in the number of students that can enroll. That's actually going to open up tomorrow, the 25th, to our current cohorts, and then the following day, March 26th, to our former cohorts. So it's going to have a 2-step opening. And then once that is paid, you will be notified of the time to actually register for the course. So it's a 2-step process. It will be very detailed with instructions on how that process looks when it opens. And again, tomorrow we will be putting out that live link for the program fee. And again, that's essentially the way that it saves your seat deposit for the course. I also want to share that seat deposit is non-refundable. So that is a non-refundable program fee, and it does go towards helping defray some of the costs during the week that you're there. And that fee is separate from your tuition and institutional fee, the normal fees and tuition costs that you'll incur for any graduate course. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
We have 40 rooms reserved at St. Stephen's House. So we can obviously take a very large group with us. Love to fill the 40. I think the biggest group we took was last year. We had 32, somewhere in that realm, 32, 34 with that. I had mentioned the dorms are like dorm rooms at St. Stephen's House. There's a multitude of what they'll be like. Some of them are en suites, so they have bathrooms in them. Some of them don't. Some of them have like 3 rooms share one bathroom. It's kind of luck of the draw with that. They assign them as you check in, kind of thing. But like I said, they're all clean. They're all, everything's fine with it. Great courtyard, Cafeteria is nice. There's a room where we'll have tea the first night on Monday when we do our welcome. That's kind of a neat little place. It has another little courtyard off of it. And then there's a one room. Actually, it's the only air conditioned room. That's the other thing I should have mentioned. There's no air conditioning in Oxford for the most part. But the good news is the weather's typically not like it is here. It's I'm not going to jinx myself, but typically it's not an issue. But anyway, then we also have the whole church space. We meet a lot in the church area because it's very flexible seating. We can circle up the chairs. We can go small group. We can switch back and forth. So we use that space a lot in there. Any other questions? Anybody ever have PIMS? Oh man. Okay. Well, see, now you'll have to go to Oxford to have PIMS just to see what it is. Okay. Well, if anybody doesn't have any other questions, we can end the session. My email is william.mckay@alvernia.edu. If you think of a question after this, don't hesitate to email me. Like Karen mentioned, there's going to be an email blast going out tomorrow that will give you a lot of detailed information on registration and the next steps so you can make this happen. Hopefully you decide to go with us. I guarantee we'll have a great time. It's really cool because we've gone 3 years. Every year's been totally unique, but every year's been wonderful.
Thank
All right.
you.
You're welcome. Everybody enjoy their night. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you.